For my CBT, I will be doing the common bottlenose dolphin. The common bottlenose dolphin is part of the Tursiops truncatus species of the Tursiops genus, which is a member of the family of the Delphinidae. The order of the bottlenose dolphin is the Cetacea, which contains whales, dolphins, marine animals, etc. The dolphin is a member of the Mammalia class of the Chordata phylum in the animal kingdom. The bottlenose dolphin is present in every continent. It is found in the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean and in the Mediterranean Sea. Some islands where the bottlenose dolphins can be found are the Galapagos Islands, with the bottlenose dolphins living in tropical and temperate climates. Inshore dolphins can be found in harbors, bays, and lagoons. Offshore dolphins can be found in cooler, deeper waters. Bottlenose dolphins hunt individually as well as in groups, working together to strategically harvest fish. Dolphins use echolocation, a form of sonar, to search for their prey, which is often eels, squid, shrimp, and a variety of different fishes. Bottlenose dolphins can eat up to 30 pounds of food a day. Dolphins can communicate with one another through clicks, whistles, and pulse sounds. Dolphins can also communicate through touch. Some other important characteristics of bottlenose dolphins are their appearance. Bottlenose dolphins have short, thick snouts, as well as a blowhole for expelling seawater to prevent themselves from inhaling it when they go up to breathe. Bottlenose dolphins go from light gray to near black in their top dorsal fin, and from light gray to white on their bellies. Some strengths of dolphins are their high intelligence. Bottlenose dolphins have the longest memory of any non-human species, allowing them to remember specific signals over long periods of time, as well as using strategy to survive and to hunt their prey. Dolphins are the second smartest animal. Another strength of dolphins is their ability to adapt and change their blood flow during dives in order to prioritize certain vital organs, allowing them to spend long periods of time underwater while actually needing air to survive. This is a trait even humans do not possess. Now the question is, how did dolphins develop these traits and characteristics? How did mammals become creatures of water, and how did they develop the ability to swim and survive in oceans? The truth is that dolphins have been the product of millions of years of evolution through natural selection, starting around 50 million years ago. I have created a timeline to depict the evolution of dolphins through 5 distinct ancestors. As you can see, I have created a simple timeline with images of each animal and their time period. The first ancestor I will be covering is the Pachycetus, which lived around 50 million years ago in the mid-Eocene period. The next important ancestor is the Ambulocetus, which lived relatively close to the Pachycetus around 49 million years ago in the same time period. The third ancestor is the Remingtonocetus, which lived between 41 and 48 million years ago. The fourth important ancestor I will be discussing are the Protocids, which lived between 49 and 40 million years ago. Finally, I will be covering the Basilosaurus, which lived around 41 million years ago. In the late Middle Eocene period, the Basilosaurus would eventually evolve into an early form of dolphin. So let's dive, haha, get it, dive, into the animals on this timeline. As previously mentioned, dolphins are part of the order of cetaceans. This order also includes whales and porpoises. As all cetaceans evolved together, the evolutionary history of dolphins is the same as the evolutionary history of other modern cetaceans up until the Basilosauridae branched off. The first common ancestor of dolphins and other cetaceans is the Pachycetus. The first official fossils of the Pachycetus were found in 2001, and current skeletal depictions of the Pachycetus have been made using a combination of bones of similar animals of the time in size, chemical composition, and locality. Pachycetids lived in hot and dry climates near a steam bed. Pachycetids look similar to modern-day wolves, having a long nose and tail. Pachycetidae were land animals just like many mammals today. However, there is evidence of their diet involving fish, which could have led to them evolving to become water creatures due to their proximity to the steam. Since Pachycetidae are very closely related to artiodactyls, as are many cetaceans, Pachycetids are thought to have evolved from ralloids in the Artiodactyla order. Based on fossil records, scientists have observed the formation of Pachycetus teeth were worn down to fish eating, and the formation of the Pachycetid skull possessed a narrow jaw. This can indicate that different diet leads to different processing organs as well as a different bone structure between Pachycetidae and Rhyolidae. This can be considered an example of divergent evolution, as the rhyolid diverged into other species due to the selective pressure of their environment and the food they were eating. This, of course, resulted in speciation, hence why we now have fossil records of Pachycetidae. While the Pachycetids seem to resemble wolves or dogs, they bear many similarities to modern dolphins that can act as evidence of their relationship. Firstly, the sockets of the eyes of these animals are at the top of the skull, which can be found in dolphins and other aquatic animals that look up at objects above the water. The limb bones of the Pachycetidae are also osteocyclotic, which is also present in animals of aquatic habitats. All of these traits are present in modern-day dolphins. More examples and similarities will arise as we move on to our next ancestors. While very few fossils have been discovered of the Ambulocetus, there is one fossil that is nearly complete. From this fossil, scientists have deduced that this animal was the first cetacean to be able to walk on land and swim in water, making it the first marine cetacean. This is relevant because this is the first step in the evolution of cetaceans on the road to the modern-day dolphin. The Ambulocetus is much bigger than the Pachycetus, being around the same size as a sea lion. The legs of the Ambulocetus are much larger and stronger than its hands, and it has a large muscular tail. Just like the Pachycetus, the Ambulocetus has osteoclerotic, dense bones. Evidence such as large femur cavities suggests that the Ambulocetus lived in water, ambushing its prey. Not only did the Ambulocetus resemble a modern crocodile, but it also hunted like a crocodile. So how did the Pachycetus evolve into the Ambulocetus? Well, it is likely that the Pachycetus continued to hunt fish and prey on animals in the water. It slowly became an animal that lived in the water, similarly to an otter in its limb proportions and its swimming technique. Over time, the Ambulocetus began to become more swimming-oriented than walking-oriented, hence the difference between the hands and feet, as well as the long muscular tail that could be used for swimming. There are many similarities between the Ambulocetus and the common bottlenose dolphin. Firstly, the fact that it is a marine creature. This is the first ancestor of the dolphin that actually lived in the water. Secondly, the changes in limb structure between the Ambulocetus and Pachycetus are changing to be more similar to the dolphin, for example, developing a stronger tail and being in more of a dolphin shape. Remingtonocetidae are characterized by their long snouts. The snout makes up a large portion of their skull, with teeth that are different from that of the Pachycetus and the Ambulocetus, missing the crushing basins. The eyes of the Remingtonocetidae are very small, but the ears are big, allowing them to hear better and use hearing as a better sense than seeing. Remingtonocetidae may have resembled massive otters with the long snouts of an anteater. The Remingtonocetus is an important ancestor because it bears many characteristics that can be found in the dolphin today, more than any of its predecessors. The Remingtonocetus likely developed different teeth due to a different diet due to their different environment. In fact, the different environment of the Remingtonocetus, one of muddy bay water, could have led to many changes from its predecessors. Due to the murky water, the Remingtonocetus would have had less use for eyesight and more use for hearing, leading to its better sense of sound. The Remingtonocetus had also developed an even stronger tail than the Ambulocetus, which allowed for the Remingtonocetus to rely on its tail movement and a high swimming speed. This is an example of allopatric speciation because the change in environment caused the Ambulocetus to have to evolve into a new species with special features for its new environment. As previously mentioned, the Remingtonocetus bears many similarities to the modern cetaceans, especially whales and dolphins. Firstly, the long snout of the animal can be compared to the bottlenose of the modern dolphin, which also almost looks like a beak. Secondly, Remingtonocetidae possess a special mandibular foramen, which contains a pad of fat which many mammals do not possess. This pad of fat allows for the transmission of underwater sounds, something that modern-day cetaceans possess and something that an animal of water would need to develop. Some other similarities between the anatomy of the Remingtonocetus and the modern-day dolphin is the loss of a neck, due to a lack of need for head-specific movements and more acrobatic cetaceans. The development of a stronger tail, which today dolphins use as their way of moving, and the change in eyes, with small eyes bearing similarities to today's dolphins. The final similarity is a very important one. The change in environment led to a much better sense of hearing in the species. This heightened ability to hear is what may have led to the ability of dolphins and other cetaceans to use sonar and echolocation today. Dolphins have much better hearing than humans, and this can be attributed to the Remington ascetus. Protocetids are a very important ancestor of the dolphin because they are the species of cetacean that spread across the globe. Prior to the protocids, cetaceans were mainly in India and Pakistan. After the protocids, cetaceans could be found in Asia, Africa, Europe, and North America. There are also many changes from the previous three cetacean ancestors and the protocids, specifically in the case of the eyes, their nasal opening, swimming techniques, and diet. These versions of cetaceans are very different from the others, but they also bear many similarities to modern-day dolphins. Many protocids would mate and live while hunting in the water for food, like modern-day sea lions. While there have not been many fossils of the Protocetidae discovered, the fossils that have been discovered are located all around the globe. This means that there have been a difficulty of gene flow in many different areas of the world, leading to inconsistent allele frequencies in cetaceans at the time, which is why we have many different types of cetaceans and dolphins. The difference between the different cetaceans led to allopatric speciation, which is why there are over 15 different genera of protocetids at one point. The change in area led to different types of cetaceans evolving with different traits. For example, some protocetids having stronger jaws due to eating larger fish, or some protocetids having weaker jaws due to eating smaller fish. The evolution of the protocetids is why there are many different cetaceans with homologous bone structures to this day. There are a few similarities between the protocetids and modern-day dolphins. Firstly, the nasal opening was no longer at the snout of the animal and it had moved further back, which is now understood to be an early version of the blowhole. Another similarity is the eyes of the protocetids being moved further to the sides of the face. This bears a similarity to the current state of dolphins' eyes, with the eyes being side-facing rather than forwards or upwards. Basilosauridae are the most similarly looking ancestor of modern-day cetaceans. Not only do they possess a blowhole, but they have also developed flippers and a fluke. Their limbs are likely too weak to navigate land, so they are thought to be the first fully aquatic cetaceans. There are two different body shapes of Basilosauridae, one that resembles modern-day whales and one that resembles modern-day dolphins. The dolphin-shaped Basilosaurus are called duorodontines. Basilosaurus, specifically the Durodontus, was similar to modern-day dolphins as well as all modern-day cetaceans in many different ways. While already possessing the similarities of all previously mentioned ancestors, some new traits have been developed. Durodontines used their fluke to swim, making up and down motions in the water just like modern-day dolphins. Basilosauridae also have similar forelimb fossil records to the forelimbs of current cetaceans, with the elbow joint hidden and a webbed hand which is currently part of dolphins' anatomy. The phylogeny of dolphins, as well as all cetaceans, is very interesting. Let's go over the 5 ancestors we covered and their importance to the modern-day common bottlenose dolphin. Firstly, in the timeline, we have the Pachycetidae. This is important because this is the first common ancestor of all cetaceans, and its existence due to divergent evolution is what cetaceans can be attributed to today. Secondly, we had Ambulocetidae. This is important because it's the first ancestor of the dolphin to actually spend parts of its life in water, and it began to develop a tail. Thirdly, we discussed Remingtonocetidae. These are important because of their development of long snouts and their good hearing, which has led to the ability of dolphins to use sonar and communicate underwater. Fourthly, we covered the protocetids. These are important animals because their migration around the globe leads to the presence of dolphins all around the world, as well as opening opportunities for biogeography of different dolphins and cetaceans. Finally, we looked at Basilosauridae. This is the ancestor that branched off into durodontines and gave dolphins their specialties apart from other cetaceans that we see today. Closing remarks. I've learned a lot during the research of this project. I believe it is important to study the history of the evolution of animals because it helps us gain a greater understanding of every aspect of the beautiful creatures on planet Earth. Thank you for listening.